Clint Eastwood was stranded on a freezing morning, standing by the roadside with a dead engine and not a soul in sight. But what happened next left him absolutely stunned. A rusty old truck pulled over, and a woman in muddy boots stepped out. She looked exhausted, her clothes torn from labor, hands rough from work. But there was something about her eyes, kind, focused, and unafraid. Without saying a word, she popped his hood and got to work. Within minutes, the engine coughed back to life. Clint offered to pay her, but she simply smiled and said, "You've helped millions through your films. Today, it was my turn." He was speechless, but the real twist? He didn't even know who she was until the next morning when her story hit the front page. This so-called farmer wasn't just anyone, and what Clint found out next shook him. Clint couldn't shake the moment from his mind. That night, he asked his assistant to look into the woman's identity. A few calls, one photograph, and silence fell in the room. The woman who fixed his car, her name was Anna Brooks, a former award-winning environmental scientist who vanished from the spotlight 5 years ago after a major scandal falsely pinned on her by corporate lobbyists. She lost everything, her lab, her license, her voice. And now she was working farmland on the edge of town just to survive. But here's the twist. Clint had unknowingly starred in a documentary years ago that was based on her work. Her research had once inspired one of his most socially powerful roles. And now fate had brought her back into his life in a dusty, roadside moment no one could script. Clint picked up the phone, dialed a number he hadn't used in years, and said just one thing. "We're going to fix this, all of it." The next morning, Clint Eastwood arrived unannounced at Anna's rundown farm with a film crew, legal team, and a single powerful mission. As cameras rolled, he looked her in the eye and said, "I told the world your story before. Now, we tell the truth." Within 48 hours, Anna's past scandal was fully exposed as a corporate smear campaign. Documents leaked, whistleblowers stepped forward, and even a former senator publicly apologized. But Clint didn't stop there. In a dramatic press conference, he announced a massive environmental initiative, the Brooks Foundation, backed by Tesla, SpaceX, and 3 major Hollywood studios, all sparked by the woman who fixed his car on a cold morning. The media exploded. Headlines read, "Farmer turns the tables," "Eastwood's real-life hero," and "Justice plowed through corruption." But just as Anna began to smile again, a dark SUV appeared outside her farm. Inside, a man she never thought she'd see again, her former boss, and he wasn't here to apologize. The man stepped out, wearing a smug grin and a polished suit. "I made you, Anna," he said coldly, "and I can break you again." Clint stepped between them, calm but furious. "Not this time," he said. The cameras weren't rolling now, but what happened next didn't need an audience. Clint handed the man a thick envelope, sealed legal charges prepared by the same lawyers who had once fought Clint's own studio battles. The man's smirk faded as he flipped through the pages. Wire fraud, document tampering, slander. He tried to laugh it off until Clint whispered, "You destroyed her future. Now it's your turn to answer to the past." As the man was escorted away, Anna's eyes welled up. She turned to Clint and asked, "Why are you doing this?" His reply, "Because people like you are the real backbone of this country." But just as justice seemed complete, Clint's assistant rushed over, pale-faced. "Sir, there's a second whistleblower, and she says this goes all the way to Washington." 3 days later, Clint and Anna stood inside a Senate hearing room, shoulder to shoulder as the new whistleblower revealed everything. Behind closed doors, billion-dollar corporations, politicians, and lobbyists had buried Anna's research because it threatened their profits. The testimony? Explosive. Evidence? Unstoppable. As news outlets scrambled, public outrage flooded the internet. Hashtags like "Justice for Anna" and "Our Eastwood Effect" trended worldwide. Protesters gathered outside, Congress demanding reform. Clint took the mic one final time, his voice slow, steady, and unshakable. You can silence scientists, you can silence the truth, but you will never silence a country that decides to wake up. It was the kind of moment that reshaped policy, launched investigations, and sparked environmental reform across states. But for Clint, the real victory wasn't political. It was watching Anna walk out of that hearing, head held high, no longer a ghost of her former self, but a symbol of redemption. Would you have the courage to fight a system, even if it meant losing everything, just to save one honest voice?